Just out of curiosity, anybody here a Pokemon fan? Me too. So just to give you a little bit of background about me, for many, many years I've been doing anime and animation. I started doing voiceovers way back when I was a teenager. And I did all of these Miyazaki films. Anybody a Miyazaki fan? So Miyazaki was actually my first foray into anime. I didn't know what anime was as an art form, and as a fan, working on the Miyazaki films, I really became hooked. There was really no better way for me to learn. Fast forward many, many years, and I get this call from an agent that I was working with, and I'd already been very well established. I'm the voice of Emily Elizabeth in Clifford the Big Red Dog, which you may or may not have known. A little bit of a different feel, obviously, than Pokemon. And I get this call from this guy's like, so, we're looking for a girl to be on Pokemon. And I was like, I've heard of that, yeah. Now at this point I had already done quite a few different anime jobs, but I think I had seen Pokemon. I had some kids, that I went to school with who played the card game, and working on the series, I was thrown into it. So I came in as the voice of Dawn in season 10. And, there was a huge cast changeover right around that time. And I was so excited to come in as a brand new character, creating a character. Emily Elizabeth, which is one of my other iconic roles, was a role that I took over. So that was a voice match. It had been created by someone else. And so creating the character of Dawn was really exciting for me. As a fan, getting to work on anime has been really exciting and definitely a learning experience for me. I didn't start, back up, I'm doing all of these animation projects, all of this anime, and the wonderful thing about animation is that you remain anonymous. So I have friends that do a lot of on-camera movies and TV shows, and we'll walk down the street and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I love you! And nobody knows who I am. And I started wanting to develop more of a relationship with the fans, with the people who watch our shows, the people who really help keep shows like Pokemon on the air, but also are just so enthusiastic. And last summer I had the privilege of going to Anime Expo in Los Angeles, which was a blast. I had been to Comic-Con in San Diego the year before, and that was insane. These cons might be some of my highlights of the year. During the year, if I'm not in New York or Los Angeles and traveling around, I have a child, I have a daughter who's also kind of getting into animation. She is doing the red carpet at Kung Fu Panda 3 this week. She's premiering in that. So she's taking a more mainstream animation. And what's very funny is that she and I have a little competition because sometimes we go out for the same roles. And she's like, I'm gonna take your job. And then I'm like, no, you're not. She's like, who's the more convincing kid? And I'm like, me! I am! So I'd love to take a couple of questions. If you have any questions about me or the show, things that I've done, things that you want to know, your favorite characters, if you want to hear some stories behind the scenes, I'd love to take questions if you have any. Yes, what's your name?
Austin.
Hi, Austin. Nice to meet you.
One of my favorite animes of all time is Oh My Goddess.
Yay!
I think you did a phenomenal job as Megumi.
Thank you so much.
What were some of your favorite moments when voicing Megumi?
Well, what was very interesting about working on Oh My Goddess is that typically when you're recording for animation, you're recording by yourself. I actually had the privilege to get to know some of the other voice actors for that. And our sessions would sometimes overlap. So when you record for anime, you will have to anticipate as a voice actor, and if you have a good director, they definitely help you, but you have to anticipate how those other characters are going to respond to your lines, or how you're going to, how they're going to say a line that you're going to respond to. So there's a lot of anticipation. Spending time with the cast, spending time with the actor who played Keiichi, and one of my best friends was actually in it, which is Eileen Stevens, and as Belle Dandy. And we had so much fun recording with each other. I don't know if you know Eileen Stevens at all. She's done a lot of different anime over the years. So one of my and then I think one of my favorite parts, actually, maybe it wasn't specifically in the recording sessions itself, but just the entire feel of being able to spend time with people that I genuinely liked. It's at a studio. Now, let's see, who directed? You might even know, since you're such an Oh My Goddess fan. I remember where I recorded it at NYAV Post, and I'm trying to remember if it was the fabulous Mike Sinter-Nicholas, or was it Sean Schemmel that I worked with. Everybody know Sean Schemmel?
Yeah.
You guys, just this guy. He does a little show. It's called Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. I mean, it's starting to get popular. It's just starting. I actually went to Sean's Dragon Ball Z movie premiere this summer and had a blast. So much fun.
A key blast?
Well played. That's so great. And how did you discover Oh My Goddess?
I don't really remember. I think it was that I was just looking up some romance anime, and I just thought I liked the character designs, and I watched it, and it became my second favorite anime of all time.
It's one of my straighter characters. A lot of the characters, because I have a very youthful sounding voice, I do tend to play, and obviously with the style of anime, very youthful, excitable characters. And I really felt like Megumi was very grounded in a lot of ways. And for me, that was very fun, but also in a lot of ways challenging, because it's a new style of acting. I thought the animation was gorgeous.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fluid. Every animator has its own style. When I record Pokemon, for example, there are a few lead animators who work on the series, and when we get it over in America, and we're matching to picture, matching to flat, that's ADR, automated dialogue replacement, each animator has a very slightly different way of animating the mouth. So if you've ever watched the series, if you ever watch it from here on in, see if you can pick out some of the differences in the flaps. It's very, very subtle, but for me as an actor, as a voice actress, I'm able to find the rhythm that each animator has. And so I'm like, oh, that's this guy. And I don't know who they are, those specific animators, but I can absolutely tell the difference. Creating the character of Dawn was a lot of fun. She had some very, fun catchphrases. And then, of course, Officer Jenny, and taking over that role was great. But I think one of the most unexpected bonuses of working on Pokemon has been creating all those creature voices and the characters. Anybody have any favorites? They do? People are like, nah.
They're both of my favorites.
Pikachu's great, and I have to tell you that I do a lot of commercial voiceover work as well, and I got very upset last week, and I'm going to tell you why. I got really upset because I had an audition for a commercial for Pokemon, and it was for the voice of Pikachu. So first of all, I was like, what is this? Second of all, Pikachu was speaking in the commercial.
What?
And I was like, and they were, yes, and I was like, can I make a call? What is happening? Now, I was, for me, because Pokemon is such a very personal and special part of what I do in my life, I was really angry, so I called my agents. I was like, Pikachu does not speak, and they're like, I don't care. I was like, Pikachu does not speak.
Did you still audition for it though?
No.
No.
You know why? It's actually interesting. They sent it to me without doing the math that I've created so many special characters on that show that it's not something that I could do. I was like, you guys don't really want me to. No, it's okay.
What was he talking about anyway? Like, what does Pikachu have to say?
Oh, I can find it.
Oh,
I'm sure. I you know.
The internet!
Hold on. Let's see.
It was a mystery.
I was so angry. Hold on. Let's see.
Yeah,
It probably was like a mystery.
It was probably like
diner.
buy this milkshake.
Was it recent?
It was in America? Or?
Was it recent?
Yes, I
or-
don't. I only speak a few words of Japanese. Now I'm on the new series of Yu-Gi-Oh! RV, which is really awesome. And if you are living in the United States of America, like I am, let's see if I can find this. I don't believe it has started airing yet.
Probably something about
But
mystery.
I just met all of the creators that just came over from Japan, and of course we speak through a translator, and there's a lot of.
Bow.
Well, what's very interesting is that culturally, you know, your first instinct is to look at the translator when you're talking. But really, what you need to do is you need to look at the person, and then the translator will talk to you. Let me see if I can find this for you. It was really like I was like, this is wrong.
It's sacrilegious.
It really is. It's, you know, well, also, let's talk about gender in Pokemon. So, male, female, have you noticed that they started every once in a while referring to them as he or she? That's brand new. And there was a lot of argument about that and a lot of back and forth. Did you hear anything about that? Or you were like,
No, I just
did you
noticed
notice it?
I just
Yeah,
noticed
around,
that
like,
calling before it was almost S.
Sinnoh. Yeah.
Or like,
Or they would say the
or
Pokemon.
Pokemon name, they never say gender.
Never. So there was never gender with Pokemon.
Well, there were always debates about it, but never confirmed.
It was
Correct.
never
When
stated.
they started
Yeah.
using attract, I hate that move.
Like, hey,
He could be
Well,
both.
according to this commercial, Pikachu is a boy.
Yeah. He's always been a boy.
oh, Pikachu's a boy. In the anime, it's a boy.
I
You look at
guess.
you look at the tail. The tail's different.
I don't
Between
do
genders, the Pikachu tail is actually different.
Because Pikachu,
Interesting.
male Pikachu have a lightning bolt,
Yeah.
and female have a heart-shaped
Yeah.
tail. So that one's
I
obvious.
don't think that. Do you know if they did that before they started?
Oh no, that wasn't
That was
what.
until like Gen 3.
Yeah.
No, that
Right.
was before. That was with Dawn.
Yeah, during
No, when they started doing
That was an
the
Emerald.
Yeah, no, gender, the changes were in Gen 4.
Oh, okay.
Gen 3 didn't have
Emerald-
it. yet.
Emerald-
It wasn't
Gen 4, Gen
initially.
3.
They did not do that.
It wasn't original.
I think they should have a contest
some
to
of
come
them
up with
did
the new Pokemon names. I really think about this. Like, I mean, I don't know where they come up with the name. I mean, after a while, you're like spinning a wheel. I think dartboard, right? You know, maybe like a hermit crab race. Like they put their different names in number 1 and number 2, and they combine it now. But when we see the Pokemon now have gender, that was really interesting because we talk about Pikachu speaking, and I'm like, no, you don't do that. And then once they referred to, I'm gonna record, and I look at my script and it says he or she, and I went, what? And I remember there being a call. The producer over at the series made a call to a higher up, and we kind of, I think we passed on that line, and we recorded a couple of different takes before moving on, and getting confirmation that yes, we can call, Vanillish or Vanillite a he or a she, whatever it happened to be at that time. But doing the creature voices and kind of giving life to that has been really one of the best things about Pokemon for me, because as an actor, I don't start with like a high voice or a low voice and go from there. I'm very character driven. And I really, for example, when I'm creating the character of Dawn, well, I have a lot of things to work with, but I have her personality, and I have situations that she's in and her background to kind of go on. And for the creatures in Pokemon, we don't always have that background. And so to only be able to work with one word, Ambipom! And Ambipom says Ambipom over, and I've said Ambipom, I mean, I haven't counted, I wish I had.
She did have
I wish I had like a
Ambipom, right?
Fitbit for Ambipom. Be like, how many times did I get
So-
but taking a character like Ambipom, who's so specific in the voice, and then making Ambipom angry, or hurt, or shy, or aggressive, or somebody throw out an emotion, hungry. Or sleepy, or any of that is really you can't check out when you do it. And so as a voiceover performer, that's really exciting for me. And then going back again to Oh My Goddess, Megumi was a really fun character for me because I was able to create a character for me. For somebody that did not, so Clifford the Big Red Dog, totally different, right? In Clifford, the conflict isn't, the conflict in the show is always like, I lost my sock and I need somebody to help me find it. Let's work together.
Oh boy.
There's no like, that girl's a jerk, I hate you, it's none of that. So then moving over to a show like Pokemon and working on anime has been a really nice leap and a really exciting jump for me as a performer. Yeah.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon personally?
Or I guess in Sinnoh. If that helps.
I do have a favorite one, and you're gonna have to help me out because all of a sudden I'm blanking on the name. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah.
No.
There's still many.
Yeah, you're like, no? Okay, it's the who's Baby Chansey?
Happini.
Happini! Happini, I loved Happini. I loved the idea that Happini, like, carries her little stone. She's just always, like, really charming. I liked Gothita as well. My favorite Pokemon. Shinx, Luxor, and Luxray. I've actually really enjoyed them, I think, with their skills and kind of how maybe they're a little aloof as well. They're not always as ready, willing, and able. They take a little bit of coaxing to make friends, and I think that that's like realistic.
Right, they were like kind of like brooding. They don't like cats. They're just like they're really like
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, yes. They're like, fine, you want to be a friend?
That's
it,
like,
right? What about you?
more
What are some of
important.
your, like, do you have a favorite?
Like Metagross.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going Mars.
I don't know. Ambipom, yeah. Scizor. I like metal types.
Okay. Now, who here started, I'd love to know, did you start with the cards? Did you start watching the show? Video games?
The
The
game.
games.
I started watching the anime
cards.
first, but then over my senior year of high school, I started playing Pokemon, the game on 3DS.
Right.
Or we're gonna
You play on 3DS? Everybody play on 3DS?
Yes.
Yeah, but right. How Pokemon Sapphire?
What?
I have the new one.
Sapphire.
Oh, nice. I don't even have that yet. Introduce this. No, it's the new.
For 3DS.
It's the new game.
All the fire.
Oh, that's cool. So I'm actually really terrible at video games. Voicing them, yes, and I've done a ton of video games. Everything from like Grand Theft Auto to Pokemon. I just did one with Shaquille O'Neal, which was
there's the Shaq Fu.
That Shaq Fu game.
Yes! It is! Now, that came about really kind of funny. So I get this call from my friend's husband. He's like, hey, Emily, or it's an email, so I'll be an email. Hey, Emily, this is so-and-so, your friend's husband, and I'm over in Russia right now, but I'm wondering if you can help me out. See, I'm kind of doing this pet project with Shaquille O'Neal.
In Russia?
You might have heard them. Anyway, so I'm doing this project. It's a video game. I'm wondering if you could maybe, if you'd be interested in like doing some voices, or maybe if you're not right for it, helping me find someone who is right for it. Okay, thanks. Bye. And I was like, wait, what? Is this like Shaquille O'Neal? And so like words you don't expect to hear in a sentence are Shaquille O'Neal, animation, video game, and pet project. So of course I was like, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. And I ended up getting to record with Shaquille O'Neal. This was just a few weeks ago, and I am very pleased to tell you you are the first to know that I was able to do the voice of Paris Hilton.
You have to hear that.
This is not the first time I have done a celebrity voice, mind you. Yes. So my very, very first animation job was Celebrity Deathmatch. Yes. And to this day, it might be one of the things I am most proud of. My very first Celebrity Deathmatch that I did was Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera. It was awesome. And I remember there was this one moment, I was in the booth, and I'm screaming my freaking head off, right? And because it's part of what they do, they rip you limb from limb. It's pretty cool. And the producer goes, "All right, so we're gonna bring in some water for you." And I was like, "Oh, great, thank you." They're like, "No, we want you to choke on it." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Having that be one of my first animation jobs is really special. I went on to be the network announcer for MTV for many, many years. I was the network announcer for MTV. I did all of their promos. They're coming up next, a new episode of Teen Mom, in my nice vocal fry voice. And I did that for maybe six years, I think, which was really nice.
Can we hear your Christina?
So I guess like I'm out of the bottle, bitch, and I'm gonna rub you the wrong way. And then Paris Hilton was just very breathy, and they were like, we don't want an exact voice match. Yeah. We just want the tone of her. And I was like, oh, you mean like disassociative? Okay, I can do that. Paris Hilton grew up in New York City with some of my very good friends. They went to the same school. And so I would hear these stories about, it would be Paris Hilton and, Joe Smith or, whomever. And the stories would be like, oh yeah, Paris came in and, she was like super tired because I guess she was like out until 5 a.m. Like this was high school. I was that in high school. I was not nearly that cool in high school. I didn't have a curfew in high school because all of my friends had curfews. So if they had to be home at 9:30 or 10, like I had nothing else to do. So, any other questions? Yes.
Did you voice any other anime shows besides Pokemon?
Yes. So I did mention that right now I'm working on. Anybody remember? Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, and so I'm the new female lead in that. I play Zuzu Boyle, and one of the things that's super exciting about that series is, first of all, lots of episodes. Lots and lots and lots. They are airing on TV, let's see, like Canada, our neighbors, our friendly neighbors to the north. The new episodes will start airing on a network that I'm sure you could guess. I don't know how long to say. Very, very shortly. I really like the character of Zuzu. Unlike Dawn, Zuzu battles, and Zuzu is really, she's a strong female protagonist, and I don't think that there are enough female anime characters that are not there just to support the boys. And I think that Zuzu really holds her own. And I like that. I think she's like a good role model. Her best friend Yuya, who's the star of the show, I do say a lot of like, Yuya, no! She cares about it, but she's also like, piss off, Yuya. So she's like very much her own girl, and I really, really like that. Can you do that again? Thank you. I really like that. She's very much like her own woman. Thank you very much. That was good. All of those lovely Miyazaki films. Now, just imagine, I started doing these Miyazaki films at this point maybe 15 years ago, and my first anime, and I walk onto the Disney soundstage in Los Angeles, and it's this beautiful sunny day, and I kind of don't know what I'm getting into, except that I've been told to report to work on Goofy Way. So I'm walking down, and the paths of a Los Angeles studio, everything is beautifully manicured. And I step into a convention hall sized room with wood paneling everywhere. It's cavernous, and a huge movie theater sized screen with Miyazaki framed right in front of it. And then there's a microphone in a spotlight about 25 feet back with a stand that's covered in carpet. and a light shining down on that and the screen in front of me, and that was my very first anime job. That was really cool.
Which film was it?
The very first one I did was Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind. I did Totoro and a couple others as well. But in the other ones, I did like some additional voices, which, not to negate additional voices, that's a skill unto itself. There's a lot of improvisation that's involved. So you're doing what in film and television would be called under 5, which means you have 5 lines or less as one specific character, but you sometimes are able to do multiple characters. So here's something very interesting that you may or may not know. In animation, the way that the union contract works is that you get paid to do one role the same as you would get paid to do up to 3 roles. They do not have to pay you more. Like, so on The Simpsons, for example, you look at their main cast and they all voice multiple characters. Well, not only are they supremely talented, but the producers don't have to pay them additional money to do extra characters. So it works in their favor to be talented. When I go in and I'm able to voice different characters for those under 5 roles, that's all billed under the same umbrella. However, what's really exciting to me, again, is to be able to create those characters. I'm everything from crying babies to small children to old women. I don't think I did any men in Miyazaki, but obviously they use a lot of women to play boys. You know why, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they do. Absolutely. Boys, their voices change. People don't always want to have to replace and replace and replace. There are situations and certain networks that love to hire real children. I hate them. Like my daughter. No. But I have an audition for a series where I'm replacing a child. I guess they finally figured out, because the kid is getting older, they're like, maybe we should look at some grown-ups. But what's really interesting for that is that you have to think like a kid, and you can't. I guess the biggest difference for me versus there's a lot of differences between me and actual boys or small children, but their cadence, their rhythm, their diction, it's a little sloppier. It's not as crisp. It's not as precise. It's not as clear. But it's not always as easy to understand. So sometimes I have to be a little bit sloppy when I'm recording small boys or girls, for that matter.
Have you worked with your daughter yet?
Have I worked with? Let me see.
And how old is she?
Oh, Mia just turned 10 last week. She does she's in a Broadway show called Les Miserables. I don't know if you know Les Mis. She's little Cosette. And before that, she was Matilda in Matilda the Musical. She was in Hotel Transylvania 2 and Kung Fu Panda 3. Apparently she only does sequels. Oh, but she did a really great, what did she do? She did her first anime. Hold on. Oh my gosh! It's my kid, it's just fine. She did
She's tornado.
A Letter to Momo, which came out last year. It was a G Kids film. And she was good. She was really good in it. I have not worked with her. I'm trying to think if I have, and I don't think I have. I think that I would be too nervous to work with her. There's a very fine line between, actually it's not a fine line. You're a parent, you're an actor, you're a coach, and I wear all of those hats at different times. I don't ever want to coach or work with my daughter if I can avoid it. There might be a time where I think it would be fun to work with her, or maybe even appear in a project with her. I do know some performers that have appeared in projects with their kids. I don't think I'd be able to be present when she's working.
Do you think that you inspired her to do voice work, or was it something she always wanted to do?
I think that she was in my belly in the booth. I mean, she can't avoid it.
She was there before birth.
Literally.
Literally. I think that as culturally, I think my children are very fortunate to know that they can choose a career path that doesn't mean a suit and a tie, that they can choose to be artistically and creatively fulfilled, and still be an important member of society. I have 2 kids. I have a son who's 7. His best friend, the dad, is a ringmaster for the circus. He also spent time eating glass light bulbs as a carnival freak. There are so many different walks of life. And then I have friends who literally make babies. They are reproductive medicine specialists. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I make voices. That's great. So we're good. I'll do the voice. I was like, I do the voices of the babies. You just make babies. My daughter who likes and appreciates animation, who likes and appreciates the performing arts. I'm lucky that she has a thing. Her thing is mostly stage and Broadway. I don't know how she does what she does. To get up there and stay on stage for 2.5 hours of a 3-hour musical is the title role, and do it night after night after night at 8 and 9 years old. I don't know how she does that. And I respect that, and I think she respects what I do. That being said, if she wants to continue to do this, that path is open to her. I just want to make sure she also knows her times tables, which is kind of good.
So have you ever done theater?
Yes, I've done a couple of shows, and I have done theater. I've done shows called Footloose. I was in a show called Footloose. Kevin Bacon. But I did the musical version. I was in a show called Hair, which was a hippie rock musical, but my favorite, which is going to sound so dorky, was a production that I got to do in Denver, Colorado, about John Denver. And John Denver was actually from the Midwest, but he loved Denver, Colorado, so he changed his name. Anyway, so I got to sing all these songs like Country Roads, and like, I'm from New Jersey. You know, for me, like, I don't know, it was really fun to be out there and do that. But I've been able to travel all over the world, performing in musicals and stage. I've done some straight plays as well, no singing. Most of my time spent singing now is in the booth. I have found such a home in a recording studio. I think a lot of people will ask me, they'll say, hey, I have an interesting idea for, character voices, or I've been thinking about getting into voiceovers. How did you do it? Well, I fell into it. I was a trained performer. I went and I studied acting, and I learned by doing. I think anytime that you have an opportunity to learn by doing, this is great, and it's easier than ever now. Technology. Everybody, you have a phone, you can practice with voice memo. It makes it so much easier and so much more accessible now to people who are interested. Look at the way I can communicate with fans over Twitter or Instagram. You can communicate with them. You know, my daughter's friends with Carrie Underwood. They talk back and forth. Like, what? Okay. Like you do. They did a TV show together. That she did, and so and they'll just be like, "Hey, Carrie," she'll be like, "Hey, Mia," and I'm like, "I'm so cool," But for me, I think that my home is in the booth. It's what I absolutely love, and I love the fact that I'm able to create characters that I will never play in real life. I will never play a real Ambi Pong. I will never. Maybe. Maybe I could talk to somebody and they could make me a costume. Oh, I remember when my kids were really little, right? And I was at like some gym or baby music class, like living again, wearing a different hat, totally in mommy mode. And this woman comes up to me, she's like, "Hi." And I'm like, "Hi." And she's like, "So, I hear that you have a very interesting job." And I'm going, oh, okay, she's gonna ask me about Clifford the Big Red Dog, or, little baby preschoolers or Pokemon. She goes, I hear that you do impersonations. And my daughter is having her 4th birthday party in a few weeks, and I was wondering, do you have a costume that you wear? Could you come and maybe do some of your impersonations for us? And I looked at her like with this, I mean, in my head it probably went on a lot longer before I was like, I don't think that we're on the same page. Like, that's not what I do at all. So having to explain to people outside of, our fans and anime fans what voiceovers really are, you'd be surprised. People don't get it. They're like, so wait, like what? Like you just talk? Just like you just talk? Yeah, no, that's it. I just talk. That's it. That's all I do. That being said, I think my son, when he was a baby, when he was like a toddler, I was like, what does mommy do for work? And he goes, mommy hears voices. Close enough. May as well. Close enough. Mommy hears voices. I have found such a home in my booth. And I always feel like I wear these different hats. When I went to Comic-Con this year, and it was the first time that I kind of like outed myself as an anime performer, it was really, really intense, because you gotta realize I spend my time in a booth. It's not always the big Disney sound stage, so I'm in a small booth. It's me, my engineer, my director, maybe there's a producer on the other line listening in, but it's just me in that booth. And there's something really nice about being solitary like that, and yet it's staggering to know that millions upon millions of people then go out and experience what I do on my own. So, to bring this back full circle, going from a stage background or even film and TV, I've done a lot of film and TV commercials, TV series. I was on a soap opera for a while, where there's dozens, if not hundreds of people on set or listening and watching what you're doing, to working on animation where it's just a few people. For me, it feels right. It really does. But you wear a lot of different hats. You have, I go out and I love meeting people and I love talking to people. You just don't get the opportunity when you do it in voiceovers. So,
Is this your first time at this convention here?
this is. And I'm super excited. What's up with the weather though?
It'll pass. It always does.
You see, it's the Sunshine State. Don't worry.
It's an ironic name.
It's an ironic name. Fair.
It really lives up to it in the summer.
They probably don't even sell orange juice here.
They do.
What's orange? What are oranges?
Oranges, exactly.
Florida's
Florida's orange. What?
Pineapples.
I love Miami. I've been to Miami many times. I've come here for work. I've shot commercials here. Once I stayed at a hotel in Miami that was on the Real World, and I didn't know it at the time, but it's really cool. Yeah, I know. Oh, no, like not at the same time. There was like no Snooki, there's no gym tan laundry, none of that. It was very cold out. But it's my first time at Magic City, so I'm really excited.
It's a good place
Thank you
to
for
be.
having me. Other questions? Things I can tell you? Things you want to know? Yes,
What's
sir.
your favorite episode of Pokemon?
My favorite episode of Pokemon.
Do Dawn.
I think it has to be Dawn's premiere episode. When she has her first appearance and you get to meet her and her family and her mother and it starts her on her journey. That's one of them. I also really like it when she decided, it's gonna sound silly, but when she decided to walk away from traveling with Ash and she said goodbye and she decided to go into fashion. I talk about these strong female characters. I talk about how I really like characters that kind of, are strong and can take care of themselves, and girls especially, because I think that girls need that, and I think that boys need to see that too, culturally. But it was sad for me when she made that decision. It was sad for me. I had gone on this journey with her, and I knew like she could be a great Pokemon trainer, and like she was gonna be amazing, but coordinator, sorry. But I liked that she made a choice. It was sad. It was very emotionally sad for me. But I respected her for it. I really respected Dawn for making a choice. Do you have a favorite episode? I mean, there's been a million.
Too many. I've been watching since season 1, so.
Wow! Yes!
Really OG.
Yes!
Really hard. I'm watching in Spanish too, so there's a lot of.
Yes! It's like double!
Team Rocket, keep on Rocket.
Oh, yeah,
That was weird.
Team
We
Rocket.
have some English words come out with Spanish. What they keep away from.
Stupid Team Rocket.
Or Team Rocket was completely different from the American one because they
Really?
always, they put every single time they did their motto, they always change the end to some random Mexican pop culture thing. If James didn't mention your country, it didn't exist.
Okay.
We're gonna expand or like what again? We're gonna expand or move to Chicago or like fucking Chile or Brazil. It's always something different.
Like just wherever they were going?
It was always something.
Just always
random.
something totally random.
Or they changed the last part of the motto to a lyric of a song. It was weird.
Now, does anybody here watch the Japanese?
No.
No? Yeah. It's very interesting to hear how there are some differences language to language. And culturally, some of that is left in the hands of the adapters and the writers. So, do you know how adaptations work in different countries of a show like Pokemon? So the script comes, and maybe the exact dialogue is, "I'll get you meddling kids." That's what comes through. But you have this much flap. Okay, but the literal translation is like, "I'll get you meddling kids." So then the American writers will take it over and say, "Okay, keeping with pretty much what it says, how can we get that to fit, the timing that we have?" And so maybe they say, "You kids are always getting in my way. You better watch out." Okay, fine. So then, and it sounds similar enough that it can transcend and play both ways. Then it goes to Spanish, and they hear, "You're always getting my way. I'll get you next time." And they go, "The next time I move to Chile, I'm gonna get you."
Oh my god! Freaking Dave,
And they're like, "Yeah, sure." It's like a really funny game of international telephone, where they have to make it fit the flaps.
There was this anime called Komi-chan. It was not popular in Japan, and it never came to America. When Mexico got it, or Latin America got it, the script made no sense at all. So just threw it out the window and they made their own script.
So they basically what they did is they saw actions. And then they were like, "Let's make them happy. Let's put them in a birthday party."
Like, there was a scene when she's planning her plan of how to escape the bank, and this random alien shit passes by, and then she goes, "And this is my plan, we do this, and I bet no one ever saw it spitty than just passed by."
And it's just totally random.
It's stupid, and it's really weird because
listen, I have done some weird shit.
one of the plot points is two samurai fish fighting for the love of TV.
That makes perfect sense to
And
me.
the entire episode, instead of making puns of how they're gonna plug into her.
That makes obviously, right?
And that was
Is that like every Tuesday night?
And this episode where this naughty, but this half men and half men, half rockets theme flying, and that's the episode. Just rocket man fly to the sky.
Like you do. So sometimes in acting, you have to have what's called a suspension of disbelief. Whatever world you happen to be living in, you just have to accept it. Now, I just narrated this great book, which is part of a series, and it's called the Encrypted series. And it's a girl who's a female cryptozoologist. And in the books, she runs into different types of species. different therianthropes, and what is she like? There's always, somebody who's like half man, half shark, and you're like, oh, like you do. So you just have to accept the reality, and you're like, oh, there's two fish arguing over TV. Oh yeah, like you do. Okay, that's cool, because that's what you tell me? Yeah, all right. They always say that's the first rule of improvisation, is to just say yes and go, yes, and. So what's really funny is that all of these things that I've done over the years, I've done, whether it's a cartoon or audiobooks, which also I get like really, really into because I'm just living in that booth, creating these characters for long periods of time. So I would absolutely expect to walk out of that booth and be like, oh, vampires? Yeah, they exist. It's sometimes hard, and I know the difference between real and, fantasy, and yet wouldn't be surprised. Like, wouldn't be surprised. It's just like the world we live in. Two fish TV? Like you do. Okay. I do always find it interesting. I do know some fans of Pokemon who watch the show in Japanese, and maybe they have the literal translation, and then they go and they watch the episodes in English. And so there have been some differences. Every actor from every country is going to bring something new and something different to that role. You're going to find that for anything. Whether it's a big budget Disney film, Little Mermaid in Spanish is going to sound different. Besides the fact that it's in Spanish. But while the voice quality and what they're looking for might be the same, every actress, every actor is going to bring something different. And it has been a privilege and an honor, truly, to be able to bring really memorable characters to life. Whether I'm the very first person to have ever created them, or whether I'm dubbing it from another language and making it my own, or whether I'm taking over as a voice match and creating a character and taking over that way. It's an honor, and I take it very, very seriously. Knowing that, again, that it's so easy for fans to reach out and let people know what they want to see, what they need. It makes our jobs better. When you sit in that booth, you don't have the chance to interact. Dude, if I showed up to work like this, I'd be, like New York, LA, well, maybe not in New York. People would probably look at me twice. But I go and I wear my, this is special. It really, really is. I invite each and every one of you to make sure that you stay in touch and connect with me. Watch the episodes. Tell us, other voice actors, what you like. We love to hear when you have favorite episodes. You're like, good job on last week's episode, or what happened,
Where can we find you on social media?
Under this table, I'm gonna like literally. You can find me on Instagram at Emily Bauer. You can find me on the Book of Face at the Emily Bauer. Actually, at Emily Bauer, not the B. It's just all at Emily Bauer. And on Instagram at Emily Bauer. Which is good.
Anything else you want to cover before you?
Anything else I want to cover?
Any upcoming projects that we can see you in?
What?
With Shaquille O'Neal?
The Shaquille O'Neal. I was like, yeah, a lot of stuff.
You get the history behind it, right? They already explained to you?
They what?
They already explained.
Oh, about Shaq Fu? Yeah, they did.
Okay.
But it's because I didn't know. I was like, oh, this is like a thing. Oh, okay, that's cool.
It's actually a group of people that actually get together to break every single copy they can find of the game. Of the regular ones.
They sent me, from Russia. They sent me these spreadsheets and demographic things that said it was the numbers and Twitter feeds, and I was like, I don't give a crap. I don't know anything about that. They were trying to show me that this was a real thing. Typically, when I don't do pet projects, this was an actual legitimate professional job. It just happened to come through a different channel than my work normally does, which is through an agent. But they were really trying to convince me that this was a real thing. And I wish I had brought pictures of me with Shaquille O'Neal, because I am a very tiny person and he is not. So.
Did he picking you up in one hand?
He probably could pick me up by the scruff of my neck, like a kitten, and just be like. He's such a big personality too. He's jovial. He's like a big black Santa. You never think of it, but he is. He's like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, I want a red bike. But he achieved his fame in a very real and legitimate way, and I absolutely respect that. I love that. I mean, he's such an incredible athlete, and I think that Shaq is a great lesson for all of us in a lot of ways, because Shaq was like, oh, all right, I guess I'll go try basketball. I'm gonna go try baseball. I'm gonna go try golf. I'm gonna go try voiceovers. Sure, why not? I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna be in a movie with, Space, was it?
Space.
Yep.
I'm gonna be a rapper. He was a rapper. Right?
Really? Why not?
Yes. It was weird.
When doors opened, he was like, all right, I mean, this could totally backfire and I could be like a pop culture joke. I'm gonna try that. Sure. And I like that. And I think that that's a good, I think, having fallen into voiceovers
Worst case scenario,
a
people
million
like
years
me
ago.
ironically.
Pardon?
Worst case scenario, people like me ironically.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll be the butt of a joke. Got 10 million Instagram followers or whatever. So he was a lot of fun to work with. So I did the Shaq Fu. I just worked on a new game for Nickelodeon, an animated game for like young preschoolers. I am currently on Wally Kazam, which is also on Nick Jr. Pardon? I'm a very cute little dragon on it too. Again, parts I'll never play in real life. So I do a lot of work on that. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is ongoing. I record on Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably once a week. We've had a great time, and that's over at 4Kids. They got lots of cool stuff going on there. And I love that team. So they're a lot of fun to work with over there.
That's two-way when you said season 1.
Pardon?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Also be watching season 1.
Back to season 1.
Yeah, that's another one.
You're like OG everything. You're committed. Now I have to tell you, so when I get into series, I have to watch them from the beginning. I don't want to come in like 4 seasons in.
That's me.
Whatever it is. So, but it's for a show like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to. You're like, all right, started season 1. I'll see you in 19 years. I just got and that's watching nonstop, of course.
Yeah.
No time for bathroom breaks. There have to be some concessions there. But then I feel like I'm catching up. I'm always playing catch up. So I missed the start of a couple of series a couple of years ago because I was still watching something called Lost. I was catching up on Lost. So I was like, no, I can't watch. Oh, you know what it was? It was something silly. Glee was at the same time as Lost when it started. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, my Tuesday nights at 9 are already taken. I'll start later. Can't start now. Sorry.
So don't start making a murderer. That takes up.
No, I was my whole done. Binge watched. And you can binge watch Pokemon too, obviously, with the creation of apps and everything out there. So you can binge watch all your favorite shows, which is great. What do you guys feel about that? That you don't have to always wait for new episodes, that everything's at the touch of your fingertips. Do you like it? Do you like catching up? Can you go back and look at your favorite episodes?
Kind of spoils us, honestly.
Yeah, the thing is,
I have no internet.
I used to like the the feeling of waiting and just seeing one every week.
Anticipation,
It gets overwhelming sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Gotta hold back.
Like right now, I'm watching. I was rewatching Oh My Goddess, and I love the scene when Hayor makes a potion for Keiichi to try.
Yes.
Megumi falls in love with him.
Yeah.
So that weird.
Those are always so. I mean, I look at plot lines like that, and a lot of times you're like, oh, it's classic or it's typical. We played it so fun.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
That was one of my favorite episodes from that series, just because of how strange it was.
Again, like you do.
And it's like a twist on like, oh, the first person they
Absolutely.
see. No, it's when they see you.
Aha!
Plot twist.
Also, I also have been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the dub is being done in that you're Yuzu. I do love Yuzu.
But now what do we call her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Zuzu.
Zuzu.
Yuzu is now Zuzu.
We can Japanese.
Because that's not confusing.
For some reason, Y's don't exist for women.
I know. Why? Why not? So,
Japanese show.
so you are watching some shows in Japanese.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Most of the shows that I watch are in Japanese because I can't wait a year for it to be dubbed.
See, well, on one hand, you're like, I like the anticipation, and on the other hand, you're like,
well,
oh, wait.
Yeah, we have really good memories. I remember every single episode I ever watched. So I rather watch something new instead of watching something I already watched.
I hear you.
I get to it eventually. Like one day I'm bored. Okay, let me watch this anime in English now.
Well, I mostly watch my anime English dubs because sometimes I prefer English as my language in watching anime. But sometimes when it comes to newer shows like Assassination Classroom, I watch it English sub because they don't have the English dub yet.
Absolutely. I remember. Oh, we do have to wrap it up. We have 1 minute. Well then I will cut this short and I will just thank you guys all so much. Any last questions or anything?
Do you know why Russia?
Seems just awesome.
Yes, I do know why Russia. Oh, I worked on something else that came from Russia recently. Now that I think of it. Why was he in Russia? Because he does like a lot of video games and they have a lot of animation over there.
Yeah, because he's also a commentator also.
Shaq was not in Russia. The creator of the video game was in Russia.
Okay.
I'm weird.
Oh, I see, definitely. Everybody's like, wait, but Shaq?
Yeah, well,
And I'm like, oh, what? Like Shaq? Hey, it's like cool. One of the great things about working in animation is that, you know, we see people, we're professionals. So I get to work with people like Shaq and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's great to know him. I know he does stuff. I respect that. But people are people. And so every once in a while when you get starstruck like that, you're like, it's Shaq. But most of the time it's just business. And people are genuinely glad to work with other performers who, like themselves, I think the motto is that I like to live by is try to be the best performer you can, but also try to be the kind of performer that people want to work with. You can apply that to pretty much anything, but for me, be the type of actor that people want to work with. And I genuinely enjoy working with 99.9% of the people that I have met. That 0.1%, it's a story for another day. Thank you guys so much.
One more time for Emily Bauer.